How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, an animated visual book summary by Alexander Sandalis. How to Win People to Your Way of Thinking. Chapter 4, A Drop of Honey. There was this fable about the sun and the wind. The sun and the wind argued day and night. The wind wanted to prove its strength to the sun. It said, "See that man down there with the coat? I bet I can get his coat off quicker than you." So the sun went behind the cloud and the wind blew until it was almost a tornado. But the harder it blew, the tighter the old man clutched his coat. Finally, the wind calmed down and gave up. The sun came out from behind the clouds and smiled kindly upon the old man. The old man mopped his brow and pulled off his coat. The sun then told the wind that the gentleness and friendliness were always stronger than fury and force. What does this mean for you? Well, this means that a kind, gentle, and friendly approach can make someone's mind change a lot more quicker and more readily than all the bluster and storming of anger and emotion in the world. Because a drop of honey catches more flies than a gallon of gold. So if you would win a man to your cause, first convince him that you are his sincere friend. Therein is a drop of honey that catches his heart, which is the great high road to his reason. This is really an argument in a way of negative reinforcement versus positive reinforcement. Say if we're managing a company, we're managing employees, we're a boss of some sort, and we want our employees to act a certain way and get a job done by a certain deadline, what are we going to lead with? Honey or vinegar? Sour or sweet? And 99% of the time, people are led by positive emotions better than negative emotions. And when I say led, I mean inspired. If you're trying to lead someone to a certain action, then kicking, screaming, being immature, and showing all your cards of emotion is usually not going to persuade them or change their mind. You're just going to develop resentment and anger and frustration. Woodrow Wilson said, "If you come at me with your fist doubled, I can promise you that mine will double as fast as yours." And by sitting down and talking with each other in an amicable way, you find out that your opinions may be not so far apart at all, and the points which you thought you differed on were actually far and few between. If a man's heart is rankling with discord and ill feeling towards you, you can't win him to your way of thinking. Scolding parents and domineering bosses and husbands and nagging wives ought to realize that people don't want to change their minds. They can't be forced or driven to agree with you or me, but they may possibly be led to if we are so gentle and friendly. And now I have learned this the hard way. I have learned this the way because I have a dogmatic type of personality. My beliefs, I feel very strongly about them. I've worked hard to figure out the person I am today and why I believe in what I believe in and the values I hold. So when something challenges it, and when I believe someone is living a self-destructive lifestyle and I want to help lead them, well, sometimes I can lead them in a way that's not effective. I used to do this a lot. I used to argue and conflict with the person that would only make the other party more steadfast in their own opinions. They wouldn't be persuaded at all because I was trying to persuade them, and that was half the problem. I was coming from an egotistical place of wanting to change them instead of wanting to show them a different way. Dale uses an example that nearly everybody can relate to. When you're renting an apartment or a house and you have a landlord who's difficult or supposedly difficult to deal with, and you say, for example, you need the rent to be lowered, otherwise you can't live there anymore. Instead of beginning with complaints and scorn and criticism, maybe begin by saying how much you appreciate the home that you're living in. Maybe complimenting the landlord and appreciating him as a person, all the work he does, and how difficult it must be, and sympathizing with him. Being hearty in their approbation and lavish in your praise, which is a previous principle if you go back and see in the playlist. And this story is actually real because I'm reciting it from the book. The landlord listened, and then the tenant listened when the landlord exclaimed his problems and how all the tenants would be complaining and coming at him with dozens of letters, of insults and entitlement. To have someone respond so differently and break the pattern that he's so used to was a shock. And the landlord appreciated it so much, and without even asking, the tenant got his rent lowered. Whenever you're trying to inspire someone, whenever you're trying to change a behavior, or lead a team, remember that honey is sweeter and more enticing than vinegar. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. If you've made it this far through the video to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. It's really important to me that you follow me on social media, but only if you actually intend on watching and or reading the content I produce. Do not subscribe just because you think I'm okay. Hold yourself to higher standards to only learn from those you think you can attain great value from.